Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Thomason, and I serve as chair of the Oakwood Abatement Authority Grants Committee, and I would like to call our meeting to order. The following Grants Committee members are in attendance: Delegate Sewell, Ms. Barber, and we have Senator Pillion remotely.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. So we have a quorum. I'd like to welcome all who have joined us today. So welcome to our meeting.
Chair Secretary Figueroa is here and Board Member Joe Barron as well.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so our first agenda item today is for our committee to consider a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2026 meeting minutes as they were posted on the website. Do I hear a motion? Second. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, you have approved our minutes. The next item for our committee are comments from our Executive Director, Tony McDowell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Roanoke. Welcome to this Grants Committee. We're very excited about the slate of recommendations that we have in front of you. If we could go to the next slide. I have a very brief comments to contribute here. The bottom line is that when your staff, when your OAA staff comes to the board, to the committee, to the Grants Committee, it says these are the recommended grants that we have for the next fiscal year. We have a responsibility to make sure that not only are we following the formulas that are required under the settlement agreements, as well as the statutory guidance around the allocation of funds, the formulas that drive that, equitable distribution, all of these policies that the full board approves to guide the formulas and the allocations, that we've done all of that in advance. So the numbers that you'll see that Charlie will be presenting to you in a moment have been fully vetted through the finance system and through all of those priorities. What you'll see today is a set of recommended grants to cities and counties that totals about $35.2 million for next fiscal year. And so that is within our balanced budget for the fiscal year, but it also looks into future years because many of the grants that have already been approved have future year obligations that we want to be able to meet. And so we don't just balance the next fiscal year, but we're also balancing subsequent fiscal years. And the slate of awards that you're going to see today have been through that exercise. We have pulled a certain amount of funding in order to make the budget balance. We pulled a certain amount of funding from the board's unallocated fund. This is the portion of the fund that the board has the authority to dip into to go over and above the statutorily required minimums. And so we have pulled funding from that in order to balance this. And I just want to make a comment that the amount of those unrestricted funds that we're going to be recommending this year, which is about $18.6 million, represents a high water mark in terms of what we've budgeted over the life of the settlements going forward. You know, each year we're going to have less and less money coming in from these settlements. And so we're really at a high water mark right now as to the amount that can be awarded. And all of that is figured into the out year planning. So let me pause there for just a moment and ask our Director of Finance, Adam Rosatelli, if I missed any key points there.
No, that was perfect.
Otherwise, Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions about the financing, the budget behind these recommendations.
Anyone have any questions for that? Okay. Next item for our committee is to receive an update from our Director of Operations, Mr. Charlie.
I haven't done enough schooling for that. Thanks for the promotion. All right, so our first item is to look at a slate of amendments for city and county individual planning amendments. So as maybe y'all may remember, we issued a couple of rounds of planning grants early on. Most of those have been completed. There's a few outstanding that due to some turnover, delays in staffing and things like that need a little bit more time. Primarily, I think for most of them, it's just to submit an application. Every planning grant is required to create a plan. provide a copy of that plan to the OAA, and then from that plan, an application for funding should result so that the funding spent gets connected to some type of abatement. And so, we're recommending to, help all of these finish out to extend the performance period through the end of September with the required application due, September 1st. So it can be considered at the September, grants committee meeting. And then from there, we'll move to closing, those out. Any questions on those, recommended amendments? Okay. So now we're moving into the main items, which is a review of the fiscal year 27 applications received. And I should note, there's been a multi-step process, as members of the board are very aware, but also just for members of the public. There's the executive summary document, which is available on our website on news and updates page. Was provided to the grants committee that goes through all of the fiscal year 27 recommendations. Each project has a hyperlink that can click on, you can open up a summary from this generated directly out of our grants system that our staff has put together and reviewed. And that was all provided on June 4th. On June 11th, staff conducted an information session for the grants committee. This was also recorded and is available on OAA's YouTube channel. And it was also sent out to those members who were not able to attend that walked through a lot of the details of the projects that were recommended. So today I'll be more of a summary level process for the review. So we received 157 applications. And that's just for the FY 27 awards. There's the executive summary notes. There was another 8 or so applications that were received for awards during the fiscal year. But 157, which for this time frame was a net increase of 37 applications, even though we have about 7 or 8 projects that currently are also slated to end at the end of the year. So big increase in applications over the previous year. 68 individual, 82 cooperative partnerships, and 7 operations stopped. Requested 56 million in total, which includes 15 million in carry forward and 40 million in funds. So the results after the staff review, after some feedback was provided, 5 applicants decided to withdraw their projects at this time to potentially come back at another time. We have 2 that are recommended for denial. I'll go over those as we get to them in the rest of the slides. And about 150 recommended for funding. So a total for operations of 50.9 million for FY 27, 15.7 million in carry forward, and 35.2 in fiscal year 27 funds. And one of the reasons that so the grants committee has to authorize every renewal every year and has to authorize the use of carry forward, which is why we combine those numbers, but we usually talk mostly of the 15 million's already been awarded. So we're just kind of carrying it forward. The 35 million that Tony mentioned is the additional funds being awarded, recommended to the. So this is a year by year look at the number of applications, and this is just the ones that we receive for the next fiscal year. And as you can see, we've jumped from 40 to 82 to 118 to 157. And one of the reasons I wanted to note that is while this is like our 4th round of funding, and we're closed in almost 4 years of operations. When these applications are received, we only have a few months to actually work them and get their recommendations out. So that's 397 applications with a total of maybe 9.5 months of staff to be able to review them over the course of the last 3.5 years. So it's quite a huge load that's been done, and I want to make sure that staff gets the credit for all the work that they've done. Gold standard cities and counties, we are up to 76, which is 57% as of June 1st, 57% of the 133 cities and counties. That's a 17% increase from June of 25 and 105% increase from June of 24. We're still working. The liaisons are doing fantastic work, cutting down barriers. We even got one application like right at the end of May. Even after they'd already submitted some other funding applications, they're still rolling in. They can come as long as the application cycle is open, they can submit those. So anytime during the year. Okay, and so now I'll move into the recommendations for fiscal year 27 awards to cities and counties. And if you hear me move back and forth between fiscal year and performance period, they are interchangeable. The performance period for cities and counties runs on the state and local fiscal year. So there are some standard contingencies that are part of most awards that go along with the, this is in addition to or over and above or a reminder of things that are in the terms and conditions for all awards. So one of them is that all applicants and awardees have to be subscribed to our online newsletter because that is our official form of communication. It's the Virginia Open Debating Authority news update. And so when there's new requirements and guidance, updates to due dates and things like that, that's how we communicate with everyone. Anytime a new project is awarded, there's a subrecipient involved. We have to get a copy of the written agreement, contract MOU before we transmit funds. Any projects that are renewed, there's carry forward from the previous year. They have to demonstrate an encumbrance of up to 80% of those funds before we'll transfer the new year's funds. And there's also a true up process because the recommendations that will be in front of the committee today are, from estimates that were provided by around April 1st. And so this will allow, the true up process allows us to see, okay, where did you land at the end of the year? And then right size the carry forward in the new year amounts. So that the operations end up where they were intended. And as a reminder, the board gave the executive director the ability to make those adjustments within certain parameters. So if there's some that are odd or outside, then they will come back as an amendment to be before the committee at a subsequent meeting. And if there's an amendment that changes some of the structure, it could be that an additional operational, which is the agreements that go for cooperative partnerships or a subrecipient, updates to a subrecipient agreements will have to be submitted before we'll fund the next year's transfers. For cooperative projects specifically, there's an operational agreement requirement that all the cities and counties as part of that partnership have to complete about how that grant is going to be managed and administered by them and their fiscal agent, city and county, before we'll transmit funds. And then for renewals, as we move into their second, third, fourth, or fifth year, there's an acknowledgement that there's a formula that we use that kind of caps the amount that gets budgeted for renewal for each year. And then while they may ask for additional funds over and above that, they're competing for the amount over that. Oh. Yes, stay there. Apologies. There's a delay on the clicker here. So, some contingencies that go in for specific situations. There are some applications that come in with matching funds that are like kind of outside the control of the localities that have them. The grants, like philanthropic organizations and things like that. So if there's a significant amount of funding, we ask for documentation that secures that. And can simply a check, a letter of commitment, a grant award letter, things like that. So that we know, because we are making the award that has been recommended is incumbent on those funds also being part of the award. If they're doing an RFP, we ask for a finalized copy of that request for proposal before we transmit funds. For certain harm reduction projects. And this is partially a reminder to make sure that they stay in compliance with any of the state and federal laws. Highlight the Virginia Code section, and if there's any drug checking services provided, they are as approved abatement efforts only, and they're not for drug dealers, sellers, or third parties to check their supplies for individuals who are trying to understand what they have. There are some projects that are doing things specifically to remove barriers, provide services to people. So those, we have a detailed report about things that are removed or achieved that comes in as part, an attachment to their annual report. There's a number of projects that are collecting and mapping data. Some of this is things like the operations staff, which other similar projects, strategic plans, mapping and resource things. So we request them to make sure that information gets communicated over to Virginia 211 and 988, so those resources are available for everyone. Awarded funds should not be used in connection to any legislative advocacy. Sometimes sustainability projects just go ask the General Assembly for money. So while we understand that's normal, we make sure that our funds are not being used for those purposes. And if a project is submitted with only 1 year of funding, then that's fine. They may submit a renewal, but they're competing for inaction funds. And then we have two new contingencies here around capital projects. One is we're at for large capital projects that have multi-year timelines and have multi-million dollars added to them. We're going to be instituting a capital cost progress report that will come around, that will be quarterly due, on the fiscal year, every quarter. And that'll be based on the timeline and milestones until the capital project is complete. And so this will help us have a better sense. Sometimes these projects get delayed, not the fault of anyone, but it's just the things that happen with getting staff in place, doing requests for proposals and those types of things. And it'll help us be able to help better support and know where those things are going. And then along with that too, for these type of usually capital, but larger timeline projects, we're going to transfer 25% up front after the pre-transmittal contingencies are completed. And then after that, we will do installments of 25% as long as the project report has been completed. And then we're seeing that at least a quarter of the milestones have been met, and that the funds that have been transmitted have a plan for encumbrance. There's some flexibility kind of built into the wording there that a couple of things happen at the same time. They could get 50%, but we'll work in quarters no less than 25%. And that is to keep money being transmitted out that it just sits for sometimes a year or more while a project is delayed. Apologies to the duplication on the capital cost project there. There's a few projects that we are working on that have been in action for a number of years. We're trying to right size their award this year because they've been having a lot of carry forward that's been unanticipated. And so we've added a contingency that says if they're finalized, their trued up carry forward is less than is above the amount that would be approved by the grants committee, it would automatically reduce any new year funds. So we're trying not to overload them with funds that they don't have the ability to spend. And then the last one is with a lot of changes that have been going along around requirements for recovery residences. We've just put something in. This is kind of a reminder. There's no action that specifically we're looking to have take place, but that just that if the recipient has funds that are going out for recovery housing, to make sure that there is compliance with the requirements for that. Okay, next slide. Done with this. Okay, next slide. Okay. On to the better stuff. So summary of individual distribution renewals. You can see we have 51 projects that are recommended for renewal. The different funding sources are laid out there. That's 3.6 million in total for the 2027 awards, and 5.1 grand total when you add in each carry forward amount. Are there any questions related to renewals of individual distribution awards? Next slide. New projects for new individual distribution. So the new projects are listed there on the left. There's a number of items in there that are some of these have come from planning grants. There is one project to note from Warren County, which is on the third line there, the Fantasyland / Lions Park Rejuvenation and Community Safety Project. That one's recommended for denial. It did not actually request any OAA funds. It was going to be a use of direct distribution only. But being that Warren County is a gold standard county, that the usage to rehabilitate the park for a safer place for community gatherings didn't really track to Exhibit E and the requirements of the statute. It's a nice idea, but it didn't feel like the way it was put together was met the requirements. So we've recommended for denial for that. It was communicated to the locality, and then that was going to be our recommendation. Say they had the option to withdraw or have us push this forward to the committee, and they asked that we push this forward to the committee. I should note that because this is related to an individual distribution application, which is kind of, those are statutorily set aside funds for each locality. We do have an appeal process by which if the committee agrees to adopts the recommendation to deny, the applicant can appeal to the board at their next meeting. And there's a process by which they can submit additional information, kind of make their case for the board to make a final decision.
Charlie,
back
if I could interject for just a minute. We don't ask the committee to vote on denial. We recommend awards for approval. And by not including, in this case, the Warren County application, then it just doesn't get approved. And so, but it's articulated this way to call out to the committee's attention that the staff should not include this project in the slate of recommended awards.
So, and a total of $714,000 for new individual distribution budgets. Any questions on this before we move forward? All right. Next, cooperative partnerships. Here, this is back to the maps. I usually lay this out because our part of our distribution is tending to talk about equitable distribution before it's required to be across the 5 DBHDS regions. But as you see, when you see the charts of details, you will see also our OAA regions, which are structured a little bit different. So we just want to have a visual there. So that they're all constructed on different metrics to serve different things. So, next slide. All right, so summary of renewals for cooperative partnerships, total of 58 projects. Including 2.2 million in unrestricted. All but one of those projects have historically been funded out of unrestricted. There is one that we are recommending moving from the cooperative bucket to unrestricted, in part because it includes a one-time capital piece to purchase an additional facility, and it has expanded to add the second facility for recovery for women. This is the Hope House project in Buena Vista, and their performance measures continue to increase as well. So to help balance the budget, and because there was the additional capital piece there, we recommended moving over there. And then so 31 million total in renewals. This also includes the 2 projects that we are trying to right size, which is one with Chesterfield County for mobile harm reduction, and one here with Montgomery County for Valley ecosystem. By which we're trying to right size, getting their budget and their cash spending to be a little more in line with their timelines. Any questions on recommendations for cooperative partnership renewals? Next. All right, so this is new projects for cooperative awards. So by DBHDS region, here we have region 1 and region 2. Region 1 is a note, there's 2 projects with no cooperative funds requested. They're using the cooperative partnership by which to invest their individual funds into a project that they're working together on. So instead of submitting like 3 separate individual distribution applications, they work together to submit one cooperative that just doesn't ask for cooperative funds. And we have made note to them that this does not make them eligible for renewal funds for cooperatives. They can partnership out of that bucket, but they could ask for that in future years, but they'd be competing for it. But this may be a model that we suggest to localities looking to work together with just their individual funds in the future if this works out well. Also want to note from the others are coming from unrestricted. The largest one is the Waynesboro City, the crisis center. They are working on with DVHDS, and they are looking to see if those funds are one time. There may be some additional funds requested next year, but they're just looking for funds from OAA to help get the facility built and ready to go. And then they've got operational funding from DVHDS. They don't plan to come back for operational funds. That's about 3.6 million. But the nice thing about that is it's not they're not looking for 6 million a year for 5 years.
So Charlie, sorry to interrupt, but for the folks that are following along with the handout, I believe we're on page 11.
Yes.
Because I know it's a little bit of a challenge to see the text on the screen, but on the handout, if you look at page 11,
Yes.
following along.
And the one application from Region 2, which is Northern Virginia, it's a development planning effort. And it's going to be a region-wide stigma reduction campaign. We're very interested to see how that plays. So. Next slide. Region 3, which is Southwest and Southside Virginia, continues to be the largest by area, largest number of applications. We've got 27. Is that right, Cindy? Cooperative partnership applications, about like probably 270. The number continues to increase, and most of those projects come in with matching funds. They come in with many, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, up to 8 localities. So and some really nice projects. The number of these are bringing in some localities that haven't been part of a project yet. But because of the heavy investments that's there, all of these projects are recommended for their competitive bucket of funding to come from unrestricted. There's not a lot of matching funds showing here, and a number of these have either funds coming from other organizations, or they're using their direct distribution funds, which obviously we don't. The OAA doesn't directly. Slide. Region 4. This has the one project that is recommended for denial. The one cooperative project, which is Chesterfield Counties Together for Tomorrow. Not a bad project, but it had significant costs, and the costs were increasing significantly year over year. And so because of that, it was just budgetarily was not sustainable. And Chesterfield also has, as you can see, other new projects that we have recommended for award, including their housing stabilization, which came from a planning grant they did. But they requested about twice that much, probably about 1.3 million. But it doesn't look like that most of that money wouldn't be able to, like half that money wouldn't be able to be spent this year. So we reduced it to what they can probably spend this year, knowing that next year's request will be a little bit higher. It also had significant out year costs, but we discussed with them that those would have to be evened out as part of us being able to award that. We can't sustain significant year over year increases. And then Region 5 is from Hampton City, which is working with Newport News. This is actually converting a project that's been through portions of 2 awards to the Virginia Department of Health that have gone to the health department for the project lead, harm reduction, and local opioid use disorder coordinators. And this is taking those and making those positions that they have full time and providing an expansion. And they concurrently, when VDH's renewals are processed, we're going to right size the 2 so that those funds going down, because the VDH awards were meant to be establish the need and establish the cost so that the localities could move to support those positions. So Hampton's the first of those to do that. But this will provide this helps them move towards longer term sustainability because it's working with the localities. Next slide. So we're looking at a grand total of 10.9 million for 21 new projects. And with 8.3 coming from unrestricted. And so are there any questions on the new projects? Next slide. Operation Stop. So last year we did our first round of awards to the 7 Operation Stop cities. You can see listed here. These are cities and county. These are localities that had a outsized impact of opioid related overdoses in the Black community in these areas, while statewide and nationally overdoses overall were going down. There were increases amongst this population at a very high level. And so the board said, let's do something about this. And that's how we developed the Operation Stop process. And that was designed to be 2 years. All the funding was awarded up front. So everyone's just kind of carrying what they have still available forward to continue their projects. And we've been doing quarterly meetings with all of them that have been coordinated by VCU, and we're really starting to get some traction with the projects as well. And I think by this time next year, there's a lot of results to report. Any question on those renewals? All right. And so this is from clipped straight out of the first page of the executive summary. It lays out the different award types and funding amounts that are recommended. So it's the total, as you've seen, of the 50.9 and grand total and 35 in FY27 funds. And then at the bottom, there's a year-over-year comparison. This time last year, we recommended 32.6 million in OAA funds, and this year we've moved to 35.2, as Tony said, banner year of recommendations for projects. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any other questions.
I just want to acknowledge, as you said, the work of the staff is phenomenal. It's been amazing to watch what we're doing. People's in your mouth. So thank you all. So we've come to the part of our meeting where we have public comment now. We will remind you to keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you're in person, you should have signed up on the sign-up sheet, or you can raise your hand and we can recognize you to speak one at a time. Anyone that's on virtually, if you'll just click the raise hand button on the Zoom menu, and a moderator will call your name and enable you to speak one at a time. Do we have anyone signed up for? We'll recognize Linda Lawson.
I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. Charlie. I witness on a daily basis lives changed because of the money that you have sent to Far Southwest. So I just want to thank you for your leadership and your hard work and your long hours. You are changing generations. So thank you.
Thank you. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Dr. Margaret South, and I'm an addiction psychiatrist at Raleigh. I also am on the board of Partnership for Community Wellness, and aware of all the resources. Back here, and I probably really the gratitude and things. Y'all help save lives every day, all day long. We have a center here called the Grow, plus. Women have baby at one time, and then, once we take care of the mom, we teach the mom and accomplish. And so we're all part of the vision together. The number of grants, stronger that y'all have over in such a short period of time, and absolutely amazing. And your stewards of are we the people of the people and by our deep love. Take a bow. Come on, stand up. All of you, come on. Stand up.
Charlie, stand up. Madam Chair, if I may make a comment, we appreciate the support and the kind words, but it is a labor of love for us, but all the work we do doesn't mean anything if the cities and counties and the state agencies don't elect to get involved in this, and they don't work, and they don't elect to work with groups like you. We can make awards based on what communities are doing. And so you all are saving the lives, and we're just a bridge to help get some of the functionality there is the way we look at it. So we appreciate it, but it's nothing without the work.
Totally agree. Anybody else? Please.
I didn't sign up, but such gentle, kind words, I think I would like to follow that up and say how much gratitude Floyd County has for what you have enabled us to do. I work for the library in Floyd. I'm on town council. I'm on the board for the Department of Social Services. And then I do other fun. I do fun, like, well, this is fun because I see what's happening. Anyway.
What's your name?
I'm Lisa Thompson. I'm so sorry. I'm the assistant branch manager for the library in Floyd. But working with Recovery Court, I began being in a partnership between the library and Recovery Court 4 years ago, and seeing how the access that they've been given through these programs and how that has absolutely completely changed the lives of people who've been living in trauma since they were babies. And now they are peer recovery support specialists, and they bought, I know someone who bought her first adult car, but she got a car at 50 and she put it everywhere. So you truly are, as we heard, making changes. You are helping us to make changes, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
Anyone else? Do you have anybody online? Okay, thank you guys for the public comments. All right, I'm gonna move on to new business at this time. So we're gonna consider a block of amendments for the individual planning grant awards to our cities and counties. Do I hear a motion? The wording is there, if we would like to use it to approve those block of amendments. So moved. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Approved that block of amendments. Now we're going to move on to consider a block of renewal amendments and other individual distribution and cooperative partnership awards to our cities and counties as recommended for approval by our staff in attachment B. Do I hear a motion?
Gotcha. This is the block for which no grants committee member has requested to.
None. No, okay. Thank you. We don't have any abstentions. Do I hear a motion? Approved. So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay. Unanimously approved. Do we have any abstentions for this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so our next item of new business is consider approval of renewals with amendments of cooperative partnership awards to city and counties. A specific group is recommended for approval by staff, attachment D. I think we have. Ms. Barber, are you abstaining?
Yes.
Okay.
I move that the committee approve a specific renewals of groups of cooperative partnerships.
I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention. Next item of business is for consideration and approval of Operation Stop Awards to our cities and counties as recommended approval by staff and instruction B. I hear a motion, so those. You second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? No abstentions. We have approved. All of you busy.
We have 150 award packages.
All right, at this time, do we have any other discussion before we move to adjourn? Okay, not hearing any. Do I hear a motion to adjourn our next meeting? Make a motion to adjourn our next meeting. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I think that was unanimous. We are adjourned.